Good evening, friends, and welcome to another live stream, this being the SPTV News live part of the channel. And what we're going to be talking about today is, oh, hang on a second. I actually have my frickin' TV feeding back, and I have to go turn it off. Not very professional. Stand by. Jesus. Oh, hang on a second. I actually have my frickin' TV feeding back, and I have to go turn it off. Not very professional. Yeah, that's not embarrassing or anything to happen during a live stream. Okay, especially with something so important. So, what we're talking about, the reason I want to show you guys this particular video, which is trigger warning, it's really disturbing on both ends. Both. We're going to be listening to two celebrities that are both on the extreme end, pro protecting the serial rapist and Scientologist in good standing, Danny Masterson, and on the other side with Kathy Griffen, being pro the victims and supporting them. So, trigger warning, these videos are pretty disturbing on both sides. And the reason I want to show you this has to do with something I told you I was going to share with you earlier. So, about an hour after this video finishes, I'm going to read out the important thing about what all this drama is about. And Leah Remini says, please read the statements that matter. Many people are focusing on what celebrities think of Danny Masterson. We must focus on what the survivors think of him and how he and Scientology impacted their lives. Exactly. So I'm going to be reading out in full the victim impact statement. And those that we've covered in previous videos, both Scientology celebrities in general, and those that maybe could be forgiven because they don't know the full details of the case. In other words, those that are the flying monkeys and protectors of the serial rapist. We want to bring you over to the other side, perhaps, to explain the case. And I think that reading off that victim impact statement, what it does to the actual victim, will disabuse you of any ideas otherwise. So, rant over, and I want to show you this particular video. Again, trigger warning. If I'm pronouncing this gal's name wrong, apologies, but this is Taryn Manning, and she's known for Orange is the New Black. Let me bring the chat over here so we can hang with you guys. And she is, shall we say, she just thinks Danny made a mistake. This is what she says here. Taryn, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, apologies. Maybe it's Taryn. Taryn Manning publicly defended her, quote, friend, Danny Masterson, after the convicted rapist was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. The Orange is the New Black star took to Instagram in the pre-dawn hours of Monday to rip into everyone, crucifying the disgraced actor for his quote unquote mistake. So again, trigger warning, listen to this.
It's like one of those things where it's like, since I've already been like humiliated and you humiliated somebody that I actually really loved and cared for, I was just having a bad day. And also I have a lisp. I'm 80% deaf. And so I've actually come a really long way with my speech impediment. So for everybody that thinks I'm on drugs or drunk, no, I just actually, when I get relaxed or when I'm not like on the silver screen, I can tend to fall back into my tendencies, which is a little bit of a lisp. But at this point, everyone's humiliated me so bad that I'm all the way in for everything that I've always stood for, that I was hiding secretly, that there's no human on this planet that doesn't deserve to have the best life and to be happy and free, because you are made in the image of the good Lord, made perfectly just the way you are. And the fact that people want to just tear us all down, like even like with my friend Danny going to prison for 30 years. Yeah, he made a mistake, but everyone just keep going, just keep crucifying him as if he's not already suffering. He gets it. He got it. Leave him alone. Leave me alone. Leave people alone. Who are you? Who are you? What did you do today to change the world, huh? Since you have so many opinions, what did you do to change the world, huh? People like you. People like me. Yeah, enough. Enough. It's enough.
I wonder if Taryn would have a different opinion.
It's like what?
After she hears the victim impact statement read out later tonight. I wonder if she would change her mind. So here's Kathy Griffen on on the opposite end of the spectrum. No matter what you think of her, I think she makes a very powerful statement here. And unlike Taryn, she's speaking from personal experience. So again, trigger warning, it's kind of intense. And then if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. We'll end off. But I really want to read you the victim impact statement to drive home the last series of videos that we've done over the last few days. So here she is.
Okay, I'm weighing in on the whole Danny Masterson, Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis thing because, it's so difficult to get a conviction in a rape trial. It's almost impossible. Most prosecutors, all prosecutors will not even bring the case to trial unless there's an incredible amount of evidence because it turns into a he said, she said, and historically juries, are very trepidatious to say the least about convicting a guy of SA because there's still a lot of stigma about whether or not the woman asked for it, etc. But the notion that this guy was also convicted of drugging these women, and I believe this case was only 2 women. Sorry about the noise. Hey. But that is such serious stuff that I don't really care that when they were working on that 70s show, he was like a good guy to work with. And he worked actively to keep people off drugs because he's a Scientologist. And by the way, those freaks need to go down as well. In my opinion, allegedly, this is a parody, Scientology is absolutely a cult and a deadly one at that. Leah Remini does great work with her partner Mike Rinder about that if you want to check them out. All right, so I'm going to open up about something, and this video is long, I apologize, but my brother, who's now dead, his name was Ken Griffen, was a pedophile. I wrote about it in my first book, and it was a horrible, horrible thing, and I tried to get him caught. Now, this was my brother, so I don't want to hear about Ashton and Mila and Giovanni Ribisi and people that feel like they had to stick up for Danny Masterson because he was their bro, he was their buddy. This was my own brother. And 2 of his girlfriends confessed to me. He also physically abused them very violently. And I called LAPD about it twice because my brother was the super of a building, and that's how he gained access to his victims because he was the manager of an apartment building in Hollywood, so he had keys to all the units. And he allegedly, because he never went to prison for it, he went to prison for something else, molested a boy and a girl, because most pedophiles don't care about gender. This has been something that caused a giant rift within my family. I only have one surviving brother at this point, who is an innocent person, and my brother John's a good guy. But for many years, I was shunned from my own family because I was trying to get my brother Ken arrested. And when I called LAPD, they actually said, we can only go and even do a door knock, like ask one of the victims about this, if your brother personally walks into the station and confesses, or if one of the kids confesses and goes to authorities. And both times I said, you think a 10-year-old is going to walk into like the precinct on Bronson or whatever and ask for help? It doesn't work that way in this crime. And so nothing happened. And I was in and out of my family, and sometimes they would write me letters saying I'm not a Griffen anymore and all this nonsense. But we all, it was a horrible thing. In a way, he was, he was the focal point of the family in a way because it was such a serious thing. So it's always haunted me that I could never do anything about it. And I think about those children every day, and I think about other victims he probably had. And the difficulty in getting a conviction in SA cases, the bar is so high that I tend to absolutely believe the victims when there's even a trial, because it's so hard to even get to a trial. And I could never do anything about my brother, and I felt so helpless. And the women that he was with at the time were so physically abused, they were in that place, and I don't blame them 100%. But the point is, blood was not thicker than water in my case. And if you know that somebody is committing SA, you should do something if you can. My God, at least try. So anyway, there's my 2 cents about this, and that's why I find this whole case so, it brings up a lot of emotions in me, and it should in all of us. So believe the victims. You know, for people to even go to the police, they don't do it lightly. They don't do it lightly. I mean, that's just my observation. Okay, guys.
Okay, that's the end of that. Are we off of here? Yeah, chemist, your point's taken. That's why I specifically said whatever you do or do not think. It's the information that she was saying about how difficult it is to get this to court. You know, the fact that the gals even took him there. I believe the story about her brother. I read her book, but maybe you're right. She's not the best example. But I think everything she said about calling out the protectors, the flying monkeys, and the celebrities for, you know, protecting Danny, and what she said about slamming Scientology, that's kind of the point that I wanted to make with that. If you guys have any questions, like I said, the main point is just to show you the extreme pro and the extreme con on either side. And I wanted to read you off from the victims themselves, what it's really all about and what the last series of videos is highlighting. And then also, I don't know if you guys heard, there's kind of a method to the madness, the sequence we've been going in. First showing you the pro and con. You know, we read all the letters, and I have links to them for the video that got taken down and all that stuff for all the people that spoke out, either not understanding the case or specifically protecting Danny and writing letters. We've shown you the other side with the social media outrage and stuff. But the main point is the victims. And then following that, how the fuck do you stop this from going further? How does Scientology actually cover up? And how do they get the police to cover up those crimes? Why did it take so long to come out? So that happens to appertain to Jason Doring's dad, Doug Doring, unfortunately passing away today. Now, I knew Jason very well. He was a good friend, and he would put on events as part of being a Scientologist at Celebrity Center. And part of that was doing celebrity Christmas stories. The final video in this sort of sequence in the last 6 videos on the Danny Masterson thing is to show how they get the LAPD in their pocket via something called safe pointing, the Christmas stories, etc. And also in and around the police department, some in the Clearwater Police Department, which will explain hopefully going forward how this can be prevented, you know, maybe well before Scientology itself, if that day ever happens, actually gets prosecuted. But maybe the more information that's out there about how they actually do all this stuff, we can sort of wrap this up, this period of videos, with like what we can actually do about it, not least just having some more awareness. So we'll see you at the scheduled time. I think it's like an hour and a half from now. I really want to read you the incredibly powerful victim statement to put all this shit into context. And thanks for joining us, my friends, and we shall see you soon.
Hard physical labor and intense ideological study are used to break the subject's will. But is that the case?